welcome back to another Miss Pollard Math YouTube video. Today we're going to be looking at solving inequalities but graphically. So we're used to solving them algebraically where we're trying to get the x term on one side with our inequality and then our constant on the other side, and then we would graph it on a number line. However, now I want to expand our knowledge and try to figure out what the solution would be but graphically. So we're going to use a coordinate plane, graph our equation that we get, and see what the result's going to be. So it's very important that we know our steps. So here are our steps. I want to get my x term and my constant on the left side and have our inequality symbol and then 0. So I'm trying to move everything to the left side, which seems a little bit confusing in comparison to what we usually do, but we have to remember this step. Then we're going to graph it as if it's y equals ax plus b, where a is our slope. If a is confusing you, you can act like it's an m for slope. We would then graph that equation, and then we're going to look at the graph and see for when y is greater than 0, or sometimes it might be less than 0, where are our x values going? Are they going more positive, more negative? So these are the crucial steps to figuring out how to solve an inequality graphically. Now let's use this knowledge and apply it to one of our problems and see how it works. So we have this problem. We have 2/3, parentheses, negative 2x plus 6 is greater than negative 4. I am going to distribute in like I normally would. And when I distribute, I get negative 4/3 x. 6 divided by 3 is 2, times 2 is 4, is greater than negative 4. As you saw prior, we want to get our constants and our variables all on the left side and have our 0 on the right. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And I get negative 4/3 x plus 8 is greater than 0. Now we have this inequality. I am going to solve or graph negative 4/3 x plus 8 on my coordinate plane. So this is why it's very important that we knew our graphing skills and how to perform this, because we're going to be using this in our problem. So I'm going to go up 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then our slope tells us to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3. I like to put this point up here just so we remember in which direction we're going. So then we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that's all I can fit on the graph. I'll connect it with my line and put those arrows. All right, so now let's look. We graphed y equals negative 4/3 x plus 8. So that's saying that this equals y. So y has to be greater than 0. Every single time we have this problem, I want to see where does it cross the x-axis. It's crossing the x-axis at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So I'm going to put an x and a 6. In between those two are going to be an inequality symbol. I just don't know which one yet. So I have to look at my graph. Where are my y values greater than 0? They're greater than 0 from here upward. So I'm going to look at my x values from here up. Are they getting more positive, greater than 6? Or are my x values getting less than 6? That's the question I have to ask myself. So if I look, I have 6, we're looking up top, my x values are going into this direction. My whole line is going into this direction. So because my x values are this way, we have here x as in 3. So 3 is less than 6, so our x values are getting less than 6. So my final answer would be x is less than 6. And that might be a little bit confusing to us, but the more practice you do, the more you can see. I like to cover it, so I'm able to see which way it's going in, and we're always going to be using this number here. We're going to use the same symbol in the sense of if it's greater than or equal to, I would put or equal to here. Because there's no or equal to, I'm not going to put it here. So these are important points to make. Let's try another problem to make sure we're fully understanding this material. So now we have this problem. We have 7x minus 3 is less than 2x plus 7. And once again, I want to get all my terms on my left side. So I'm going to subtract 2x and 7. So everything is on my left side. So I get 5x minus 10 is less than 0. I'm going to graph this now, the 5x minus 10. So I'm going to start at negative 10. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. And last one. And then I'm going to connect to my line. So just like before, we have to see 5x minus 10, that's the same thing as y equals 5x minus 10, because I graphed that on my coordinate plane. So I'm going to have, instead of 5x minus 10, y is less than 0. So I'm going to look at this coordinate plane and see where are my y values less than 0. Our y values are less than 0 on the bottom portion of our coordinate plane. We see that it's intersecting the x-axis at 2, so I'm going to have an x, and I'm going to have a 2. We're looking below. Are our x values getting bigger or less than 2? If I look, my x values are not getting bigger on the bottom, they're getting smaller. They're going in this direction. We have a 1, we have a 0. Those are less than, so our answer is x is less than 2. So we have to be careful of what we're looking for. Are we looking for when y is greater than 0? Are we looking for when y is less than 0? All of these points are important to note when we're trying these problems. So I hope these were helpful, and I hope this gave more clarity on how to solve these problems.